Something you might be wondering about at this point is whether or not you can change the outline colors within a motif that you've image traced and turned into a live paint group, so you have different colored outlines within the same motif. So what I mean by that is, for example, perhaps on this blue flower here, you might like the stem to be this orange color instead, and these little bits here, the stamen or whatever they're called, maybe you'd like those to be dark blue instead of this light whitish color. So let's just select this, and I'll hold down my Option key and drag it over here to make a copy. Okay, we'll zoom back in. So while it's not possible to fill your shape with different colored outlines, there is a way that you can kind of create the illusion of it by stacking different pieces of the shape on top of each other to create the illusion of different colored outlines. So I forgot these were grouped together, so I'm just gonna delete this. And to make this a little bit easier to see, I'm actually going to change the light blue to a dark blue. Okay, that's gonna be easier to see. All right, so basically what we're going to do is use the eraser tool to copy and paste and then erase different portions of this flower and stack it all back together so it looks like it's one shape again. So the eraser tool is a little bit different in Illustrator than it is in Photoshop. If you're familiar with the eraser tool in Photoshop, you'll see that it just works a little bit differently. It's not quite as precise. It's just kind of odd the way that it works. So what we're going to do is copy this. So we'll do Command C and then Command F to paste in front. And again, you can always get to those commands up here in the Edit menu. Okay, and then I'm just going to move this over. And basically what we want to do now, that's too much. What we want to do now is erase everything except this stem here. So I'm going to select the eraser tool over here in the toolbar and zoom in and simply get really close to that stem and just start erasing. So basically I just want to disconnect the stem at this point so nothing else is touching it, and then I can use my white arrow tool to select all of this and just delete everything that I don't need anymore. And there might be some stray bits there. Okay, let me zoom in some more. And then, so you can see that's not quite as precise as it could be. I can just go back in with my eraser tool and if it does something that you don't like, you can do Command Z or Edit Undo. You can shrink or expand the size of your eraser tool by clicking the bracket keys on your keyboard. So that'll, hopefully you can see that getting bigger. I'm clicking the right bracket key and now the left bracket key to make it smaller. So that can be useful if you're really trying to zoom in on something. Okay, so we'll zoom back out, and now you can see I'm left with just that stem. So let's change that stem to this orange color instead. And then we'll just go ahead and stack it. Oop. Stack it right on top. Right there. And click away. And if I really want it to be precise, you can kind of see a little bit of that blue outline still in the background. Let me hide this. I could actually do the same thing on this one and use my eraser tool to just delete the stem. Okay, so we'll delete that whole thing. See if there are any stray bits there. And then show all. Oh, some odd things showed up over here. we'll just hide those again. Okay, so now you can see I've got my orange stem. I might want to move that to the back so it's actually layered behind the flower rather than sitting on top of it. So there we go. So now while it looks like one shape with two different colored outlines, it is actually two different shapes now. So you can do the same thing with these little baubles up here. So we'll just go ahead and copy and paste in front, and then we'll just move this over and use our eraser tool to just kind of detach this. So you can see the eraser tool. I'm not sure if that was a little too subtle to see or not, but it kind of changed the shape of my eraser. It doesn't erase the actual pixels that you're trying to erase the way that it does in Photoshop. Since it's we're working with vectors, it's just a little bit different. You can also double click on the eraser tool to change the size, change the roundness of your eraser tool, change the angle, to try to make it a little bit more precise in the way that you might want it to be. But for our purposes right now, this is going to work just fine. And then now that that's detached, you can just erase all of this using your white arrow tool. There we go. And then we can, it looks like we've got some funny stray bits down here. Okay. All right, so we can just move this back over. And change the color. And we'll zoom out. And there you go. So again, we could do the same thing and hide this and use the eraser tool to erase this portion on the flower. So we'll use the white arrow tool to just delete all that and show all. And then again, that weirdness showed up. Okay. And so let's just move that to the back so it's layered behind the flower now. And there we go. So that's just a very simple example, and that for some reason got brought to the front again. There we go. So that's just a very simple example, but if you have a complex drawing that you are working with and you realize, oh no, I should have not connected those lines because I actually wanted those two pieces of this drawing to be different colors, and now that it's image traced, I can't do it. This is kind of a quick, cool, easy workaround for making it look like it has different colored outlines within the same shape when actually you've just sort of broken the shape apart into a few different bits and pieces and put it back together as a group of shapes. So hopefully that makes sense and will be a useful tool to add to your pattern design toolbox.